Attention crocheters, are you looking for the best Santa pillow pattern that would even impress the big guy? Then you come to the right channel. This is Little John's Yarns, where I come up with new patterns every single week, so make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're always up to date. This crochet Santa Claus pillow is super easy to make, and this pillow can make any room look festive. The finished pillow measures in at 24 inches tall by 16 inches wide. The stitches that we'll be using for this pattern are the chain stitch, double crochet stitch, and the half double crochet stitch. You can help support my channel by downloading the written PDF. I'll leave a link down in the description box below. The materials that we'll be using are Bernat Pipsqueak yarn and any worsted weight yarn in the color white, red, and any flesh tone of your choosing. Also, the crochet hook will be a 5.5mm crochet hook. I provided a timestamp for each section of the video. Okay, we're going to begin with a chain of 42. Once you have your chain of 42, we're going to put a double crochet into the third chain from the hook. And we're going to place one double crochet in each stitch across. So you can pause your video here, continue placing one double crochet in each stitch across, and I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, we've made it back to the other side, and once you do that, we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Turn your work. Your chain 2 does not count as a stitch. For this row, we're going to double crochet into the same stitch and double crochet in each stitch across. So, you can pause your video here, continue placing one double crochet in each stitch across, and I'll meet you back at the other side. Okay, we made it to the end of this row. Our next 2 rows are going to be a pattern repeat. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Remember that does not count as a double crochet. Turn your work. We're going to begin to widen our row. So we're going to place 2 double crochet into the very same space. 1 and 2. Now we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across until you make it to your very last stitch, and we'll put 2 double crochet in the end. So pause your video here, continue placing 1 double crochet in each one of your stitches and placing 2 double crochet into your very last stitch. I'll meet you when you make it to the other side. We've made it to the other side of our third row, and I'll put the last 2 double crochet in a stitch with you into the very last stitch. 1 and 2. Chain 2, 1, 2. Remember, our next row is just going to be a repeat of the very last row. So we're going to place 2 double crochet into the very first stitch, place 1 single crochet in each stitch across, and place 2 double crochet into the very last stitch. So I'll let you do that row on your own. So pause your video here and repeat the last row one more time, and I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, we finished our 4th row by placing 2 double crochets into the very last stitch. Alright, so let's start our 5th row. The 5th and 6th row will be exactly the same. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work, place a double crochet back into the very same stitch, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch across for the next 2 rows. So place 1 double crochet in each stitch across for an additional 2 more rows. Okay, I'll pause your video here, and I'll meet you at the completion of your 2 rows. Okay, we completed our 2 rows of double crochet in each stitch, and as you can see, our work is beginning to build up, and now we're going to start decreasing for the next 4 rows to round out the beard. Okay, I'm going to give you a close-up look. Let me zoom in. Okay, for this next 4 rows, they're going to be exactly the same. So chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work. We are going to decrease 2 stitches. That's a double crochet 2 together. I think I said it right. So yarn over, go into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. yarn over, go into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 3. That is a double crochet decrease. We're going to place another double crochet decrease into the next 2 stitches. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 3. So we have 2 decreases at your very end. Now we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch until you make it to your last 4 stitches. That's when we'll stop, and we'll put our last double crochet 2 together, or decrease, in those stitches. So pause your video here, and I'll meet you at the last 4 stitches. Okay, we made it to our last 4 stitches, so we're going to place 2 double crochet decreases into the last 4 stitches. So let's work that together. Yarn over, go into your first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and pull through 3. That's your first double crochet decrease. And let's do the last one. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 3, and that is your double crochet decrease. All right, we're going to repeat this row another 3 more times. So you're going to put 2 double crochet decreases into the first 4 stitches, double crochet in each stitch all the way across until you make it to your last 4 stitches, and you'll place 2 double crochet decreases into the last 4 stitches. So pause your video here, and I want you to complete the next 3 rows yourself. Okay, we finished our 3 additional rows, and this is what your work should look like so far. Kind of rounded out, because this is the bottom of the Santa beard of the pillow. So what we're going to do next, we're going to repeat row 3 through 10 again. So I'm going to leave a timestamp below on exactly where to start row 3 so you won't get confused. And when you're done with that, it'll look, let me zoom out a little bit. The second part will round out just like the bottom. So pause your video here and complete row 3 through 10 one more time. Okay, we've made it to the end of the row, and this is what your work should look like. Kind of hard to see from this angle. It's kind of like a snowman shape. Okay, so we're going to put our last double crochet decrease in together, and we're going to transition into our red color. And I'm going to show you a quick tip on how to do that. So you yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. I already cut my work. So now we're going to wrap our new color on to the hook. One second, let me find my end. And pull through those 3 loops on the hook. And pull tight. Now, start a new row. We're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. And a little trick I do, usually when you do your work, you just pull your tails through, and we're just going to crochet over the top. But I don't like the way these strands kind of wrap around at the very ends. I always like to keep those hidden. So what I do, I go into that very first single crochet or chain stitch, and I'm going to pull through that white loop, like so. And I'll pull through that red loop too. And this will give our end a nice, better look. All right, so we made those chain 2, and we're going to turn our work. And now we have our waisted ends going to be neatly tucked underneath our work now. So we're going to place a double crochet into the very same stitch. And now we're just going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across. And we're going to do this for a total of 2 rows. So you can pause your video here, continue placing 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across for a total of 2 rows. I'll meet you at the completion of those 2 rows. Okay, we completed those 2 rows, and the next 2 rows are going to be a pattern repeat. So we're going to begin to make a triangle into the top of the Santa hat. So to do that, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work. We're going to decrease. So to do our double crochet decrease, or double crochet 2 together, yarn over, go into the first stitch, pull through 2, yarn over, go into the second stitch, pull through 2, now pull through 3. Okay, we're going to do that at the end, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch until you make it to the last 2 stitches, and that's where we're going to put another decrease. So pause your video here, continue placing 1 double crochet into each stitch until you make it to the last 2, and we'll work that last stitch together. Alright, we've made it to the end, and we're going to place a double crochet decrease in here. And I don't have to step you through this. I think you've been doing it long enough to figure out what a double crochet decrease is. Alright, and for your second row of the pattern repeat, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work, place a double crochet into the same stitch, and place a double crochet into each stitch all the way across. So you can pause your video here, continue placing 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across, and I'll meet you at the other end. Okay, we've made it back to the other side. So what we're going to do next is just repeat the last 2 rows over, with the first row being a double crochet decrease on the beginning and end, with a singular double crochet in each stitch in the middle, and the second row having 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across. Just in case you forgot, I'll place a timestamp below exactly where in the video that the pattern that you should start these next 2 rows. Okay, pause your video here, and I'll meet you at the completion of this. Oh, quick tip. By the time you're done, it'll form a little triangular point, and you'll have 1 stitch left, and I'll meet you when you make it to that 1 stitch. Okay, once you make it to the end, I ended with a single double crochet into the top and just fastened off my work, and it should start to look like a triangle. So go ahead and make 2 pieces, and after you're done with that, we'll move on to the very next step. Okay, for the face, we're going to begin with a chain of 10. After you have your chain of 10, we're going to place a double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. And now we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So you can pause your video here and continue placing a double crochet in each stitch across. Okay, we've made it back to the other side. You have a total of 8 double crochets, and you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work, and double crochet into the same space, and each space all the way across. Okay, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each space all the way across for an additional 4 more rows, including this one. So you can pause your video here, and I'll meet you at the completion of your 4. Once your additional 4 rows are complete, you'll have a total of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can fasten off your work. Make sure you leave a long tail for sewing. Next, we're going to be creating the nose. To do that, we're going to take your yarn and use your finger. We're going to wrap this around your finger about 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and roll it off your finger. Stick your crochet hook through the hole, and we're going to pull up a loop, and we're going to fasten off that, not fasten off, but put a slip stitch in to seal those loops in place. So now what we're going to do, go back in to your ring, and we're going to create a couple of rows of single crochet. I don't know about rows, but we're going to put a couple crochets into this ring, single crochets that is. We're going to continue placing single crochets all the way around the ring until you make it to the other side. So you can pause your video here, and I'll meet you when you make it to the other side. Okay, we made it to the other side of our work, and if you flip it over, you'll see what it looks like. So we're going to continue, we're not going to slip stitch to join, we're going to continue placing single crochets into this ring until your circle, that little space in between, starts to close. So this is where we began. We're just going to single crochet right over top of that. Just like one of my, I don't know if you've ever seen my how to crochet a button, but this is the same way to do it. So keep wrapping single crochets around the previous row. And if you turn your work over, you can see it's beginning to close. So continue doing this until your circle is completely almost closed. So pause your video here and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done creating my circle. Okay, mine is complete. And what I'm going to do, let's see if I can focus in a little bit better. I'm going to slip stitch into the closest single crochet to fasten off my work. And now flip to the other side, and this is what it looks like, and this will be your nose. Okay, I'm going to show you how simple it is to make an eye. I'm starting with a black piece of yarn. Make sure you leave a little longer tail, probably about 3-4 inches, and start with your slip knot. Once you have your slip knot, we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. Place a single crochet into the very first chain. Alright, after that, cut your end, probably leave another tail about 3 or 4 inches, and yarn over and fasten off your work. So now you have this little thing. So we're just going to make another little knot like this and pull it tight. And it creates the perfect eye. And you can use these parts to sew onto your work. I'll show you what it looks like on my Santa Claus. These are the same eyes. We're going to begin by chaining 7. And once you have your 7, we're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. And now you're going to single crochet all the way across your work in each stitch. Once you make it to the other side, you should have a total of 6 single crochets. For your next row, we're going to chain 1. Turn your work. Your chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to skip this first stitch here and place a single crochet in the next one right here. Now we're going to single crochet all the way across this row until you make it into your very last stitch. Alright, we made it to our very last stitch, and we're going to place 2 single crochets into the last stitch. One and 2. For your next row, chain 1. We're going to single crochet all the way across, and at the very end we're going to single crochet together the last 2 stitches. So let's single crochet all the way across. So that includes the very same stitch, that very first one. Continue going all the way across until you make it to your last 2 stitches. Alright, we made it to our last 2 stitches, and now we are going to single crochet those 2 together. So go into the first loop, pull up a loop, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all 3. For row 3, we are going to chain 1, row 4, chain 1, turn your work. We're going to single crochet all the way across and place 2 single crochet into the last one. So let's place a single crochet here and single crochet all the way across until you make it to your very last stitch. Alright, we're on our last stitch, and we're going to place 2 single crochets into that one. 1 and 2. Now chain 1, turn your work, single crochet in each stitch all the way across. So back into that same space. We're just shaping out the mustache. Okay, let me check my work. We are on row 6. So now we're going to chain 1. Turn your work. We're going to skip this first stitch and single crochet into the next. And continue placing single crochets all the way across. Alright, and now we're going to chain 1, turn your work. We're going to single crochet all the way across, but on the last 2 stitches we're going to single crochet together. So single crochet into that very first one and single crochet across until you make it into those last 2 stitches. Okay, we're on the last 2 stitches. Let's single crochet those together. I went into the first one, go into the second one, yarn over and pull through all 3. Chain 1. Now turn your work. We are going to skip this very first stitch and single crochet across. Okay, on row 9, we're going to chain 1, turn your work. We're going to skip this very first stitch and single crochet together the last 2 stitches. Now we're just going to chain 1, turn your work, and your mustache is pretty much all done. Now I'm just going to slip stitch all the way around my work, just like so. Once you're finished making slip stitches all the way around, you can fasten off your work. Make sure you leave a long tail for sewing. When you're making your second piece, when you end and turn your work, you'll be facing this way. But so we have opposing sides, turn your work one more time and start slip stitching this way. So you have 2 matching pieces. You don't want one piece and they're both going the same direction. That wouldn't make a good mustache. So make sure you flip your work over and slip stitch on the opposite side, so you have 2 opposing matching sides. Okay, I'm going to show you how to assemble your Santa face. You're going to take one side of your pillow, we're going to take his face, and we're going to sew this on closest to the top part of his hat. Okay, and we're going to center that off on his face nicely. So once you have that face sewn on, we're going to move on to his mustache. And we're going to place the 2 flat ends of his mustache together right on a lower portion of his face. And you know which way your mustache is facing, because your tail end, the one that you left long for sewing, will be at the very bottom. And then once you have his 2 mustache pieces on, you're going to sew on his nose, like so. And right now I don't have his eyes made, or I don't know if I'm going to make them myself or use buttons, but make sure you go on and add the 2 eyes. So go ahead and sew those on, sew all those pieces together. There is no special stitch that you have to use. Just use a whip stitch or whatever stitch that you know, and pause your video here, and I'll meet you back when all your facial features are sewn on. Okay, once you have all your pieces sewn on, what we're going to do next is we're going to attach the back part to the front part. So to do that, you lay one piece on top of the other, and we're going to begin placing single crochets all the way around the border of our work. So I'm going to give a little, adjust the camera so you can see me work a little bit closer. Okay, I attached my yarn to my work, so we're going to be single crocheting your front piece and your back piece together, evenly spaced all the way down, all the way up and around your work. But just to let you know, this is the very bottom of your pillow. We're going to leave the very bottom unworked so we can put stuffing in it when we're completed. So let me weave in my work as I go. Evenly place single crochet. Go to the front and back. Evenly place single crochet. You're going to do this all the way around your work. And when you get to the red part, of course, transition to a matching red yarn and single crochet all the way around the triangular part of your hat and back down the remainder part of your pillow. And once again, we're going to leave the bottom part of the pillow unworked. So pause your video here and I'll meet you once you're finished single crocheting all the way around your work. Okay, once you're finished crocheting around all your edges, this is what your work is going to look like. We're going to begin by stuffing the inside of your pillow, like so. When I began stuffing, I didn't stuff all the way into the top of the Santa hat, so the hat will be able to fold over. I've left the stuffing right about here. So once you have your pillow stuffed the way you like it, you're going to continue placing single crochets all the way across until you make it to the other side, and you'll fasten off when you're done. Okay, next we're going to be making the fuzzy white brim for the Santa hat. Right now I'm just using a sample piece, but I want you to go ahead and chain a total of 36. Whatever fits around your Santa hat perfectly, depending on how thick you stuffed your Santa Claus. Alright, so once you get your chain of 36, chain 2 for your turning, 1, 2. We're going to place a half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. And to be honest, with this yarn, it's almost impossible to see where the second chain from the hook is, so I'm just going to fill the best place that I think the second chain would be. And place your half double crochet. And we're going to half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. And like I said, this yarn is very hard to see the stitches, so if you miss a stitch, it's okay. Try to find the stitches as best as you can. So continue placing half double crochets all the way across your work, and I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, we made it to the other side. This is the actual piece I'm working on to put on a Santa hat. I just went ahead and completed my additional 3 more rows. But I'm going to show you how to work the next row. You are just going to chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to place a half double crochet into the very same space. Like I said before, it's very hard to see your stitches with this, so you're going to have to fill with your hands. So I can fill the very first space here, and I'll place a half double crochet within it. Alright, then we're going to place a half double crochet in each stitch. So fill for your next space and place a half double crochet within it. Alright, so you can pause your video here, continue placing a half double crochet in each stitch all the way across for a total of, or additional 4 more rows. So you'll have an additional 3 more rows, so you'll have a 4-row wide brim. Alright, I'll meet you at the completion. Okay, we've made it to the very end of our work and I fastened off. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to sew both sides together. Let's see. Well, I'm just going to slip stitch both sides together. There we go. Front and back. A nice slip stitch. Front and back. And slip stitch. Once you have all your slip stitches in, I'm going to show you how to place this around your hat. Okay, I'm going to show you how to put the brim on. So make sure your tail is facing down and slide it over top of the hat. And what you're going to do now is just whip stitch all the way around the brim and the back of your hat. What I do, I just sew the lower half. I leave the top loose, so it's just like a hat that's folded up like you would wear yourself. Alright, so finish that off and your hat will be almost done. Next, we'll work on a pom-pom. To save time, I'm not going to go into how you make a pom-pom. Just use your pom-pom maker and the Pipsqueak yarn and tie off with a regular worsted weight yarn and put it on your hat. Thank you for joining me on this channel, and if you enjoyed this pattern, make sure you check out my other crochet Santa Claus patterns. Okay guys, I'll see you all on the very next tutorial.